It's green for go. They're racing. He says go. He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn. Here comes another big boil over. Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more. This is in one race. The rest are almost in another postcode. She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that? It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of The Sprint Lane. My name's Paul Cochran. I've got Jess Watkins and Freddie Hastings with me. G'day, team.
Hey, Paul. Hey,
How
Fred.
you doing, Paul?
Oh, really, really well. Another week in racing has been and gone. What a great week we had. Whoa. Something just fell off the chair. We've had things breaking everywhere here this morning. Have you heard that?
Don't move, just stay very still.
Last week, remember I dropped my pen,
dropped your pen.
And I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't have mentioned it. When I listened to the show back, geez, it was like a bomb exploded in the, in the room.
That's going to be very loud there.
I don't even know what that was.
I hope it probably
spring over there.
It's a piece of the chair. If I suddenly disappear and there's a hole in the ground that I sink into, who do we blame?
Now,
Bruce
Jess, are you just trying to run the show here? Is this all part of your master plan to take over the show?
No, I think this is yours. This is your plan.
To be full exposure at this, before just the reason we're slightly late hitting record this morning is because one of our microphones completely just shattered off the desk, didn't it? So
fell over. Fell off.
Things come in three, so I'm not sure what's going to be next, but I hope it's not me.
We'll count the pen as being number one last week, and then the mic, and then the chair.
Okay.
Well, there you go. We're off to a good start. We've got Hannah Rixon with us. Hannah, I bet you're glad to be here.
Hopefully my chair doesn't collapse anytime soon.
How about that, eh? No, as you said, well, where we were going was we've had a pretty good race week. Like we've had good racing everywhere, Jess.
Haven't we, what? It's been so exciting, and we're only 3 weeks into Metropolitan racing for 2023, but if that's a taste of what's to come, how exciting in the next few weeks going to be.
Good night on Saturday night here too, Fred.
It was and coming up. You can really smell the carnival is just around the corner. It's some of the horses that are engaged. We talked about the mares race on Saturday upcoming, and of course the free-for-all. It's worthy of, right in the meat of the carnival sort of race. It really is a classic old-style free-for-all that we used to get way back when.
Hannah, my background's cricket, and when this time of year come around, or that September time, you could smell it in the air. The grass had a different smell to it, and the temperature said it's time to go. Is it like that with racing in any way? Like you're a driver, you're in and amongst it. Does this time of year say, all right, this is when I really want to be part of it?
Yeah, I think in New South Wales we've probably got, especially in this region, we've got good racing, nearly all year. But definitely this time of year the fields start to get a bit stronger, and the racing is definitely really good.
I'll tell you what, there's racing all over the state, Fred. And Fred, what I wanted to say was, I need to have this talk with you because my happiness depends on you and whatever we decide to do with Junee. Junee.
With apologies to the
apologies
original
to
creators,
Dolly Parton there.
Dolly Parton, yeah, absolutely.
So what we thought we'd do is we get Sarah White on the line. G'day, Sarah.
Hey, Paul. How you going? Hey, Freddie. Hey, Jess. Hey, Hen.
Hey, Sarah.
I just faded you in. I hope you missed that.
I heard it. I think the whole town will be offended.
Yes.
It was pretty disastrous, I think. Don't do it again, I don't think. I don't think it'll make a comeback.
Sarah, when I was employed by Harness Racing New South Wales, singing was not part of the contract, obviously, hence I'm in the job.
Yeah, I think it should be a prerequisite that our marketing managers don't sing. I think maybe it's safest.
Hey, you got a big race night coming up Saturday, the annual Carnival of Cups meeting at Junee, and it's shaping up to be outstanding, isn't it?
It sure is. We're doing our noms at the moment, which is exciting. So we've just been flicking through all of those, and the Cup looks like it's going to be some pretty competitive racing there. We've got a good lineup of noms for our Cup. So that's very exciting. I was like, you always get a buzz when you have a look at the lineup, and I was like, it should be a good night then. Create a great atmosphere for everybody. We're pretty lucky, and it'll be a good night here. We've got plenty of beer and plenty of entertainment for everyone, so very exciting.
You're going to need it, Sarah. I just had a look at the forecast, and if I'm reading it right, it looks like it's going to be a bit of a scorcher on Saturday in the town, around high 30s.
Yeah, I did have a look last night. It had us at 37, which for this time of year down here, it's actually pretty cool. So we're pretty lucky, I suppose. Could be about 43, but it is actually the only hot day we've had really this year.
Have plenty of beer nonetheless.
Oh, yeah, I'm down here stocking up at the moment. I think
job.
I just put 50 cartons of Northern away, so that should keep everyone from being thirsty anyway.
I'll tell you what, having been at Temora a fortnight ago, my little tip to you would be over-cater. Because because they ran out.
For sure. they know how to have a party down this way of town, so we'll never run short of beer, that's for sure. We always know what to cater for.
Good stuff. Now, what can we expect off track? Racing's one thing. What can we expect?
Yeah, so we've got a jumping castle for the kids. The mini trotters are in action. We've got the ice cream van from Trev's Tasty Treats. He's always a good supporter, and the kids love him. We've got a mechanical bull for the kids and the adults. That was a bit of a hit last year, and there was some pretty good stacks off that. And then we've got our local Rotary and Ken Assist helping with the catering. And we got live music from Nathan Lamont, who is a bit of a landmark now for the club. He comes every year, and he's always a big hit. He's great. So
fantastic.
Should be plenty of atmosphere.
Good community events, Jess.
Yes.
This is what it is. It's not just racing. We're talking community events here that bring the whole town together.
That's right, and Junee has such a strong history of harness racing in the town. And Sarah, how does the local community get around to the trots? How many people can we be expecting to see out on course on Saturday?
It's hard to give a number figure too, but we'd probably be expecting probably close to 1,000 people, which is a fair chunk of the town. There's a pretty good buzz around it at the moment, and like you said, all of the charities and the local businesses always get around it. It's always a great night out, and our committee's not very big, but the people that show up and give a hand put all of their time and effort into it, which is great to see. Like you said, the town, we got Alan Harpley and all those great horses that he's bought, and now his son Bruce is going, and I guess really the heart of harness racing still down here. Not much has changed since back in the old days.
Yeah. Not a big committee, but hardworking. These things don't happen without you guys rolling your sleeves up. And I know, Hannah, you guys as drivers and participants, you really appreciate what the hard work these volunteers put in, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. I was actually went out to Junee for the Cup, must have been 2 or 3 years ago now, and I ran second actually. But it's such a great night out there. They get such a good crowd and atmosphere, and they do a great job. Yeah,
and it's great seeing just the kids and families turning up, and that's what I loved about, like at Temora. And that's just one example, and I'm using a bit of recency bias there and talking about tomorrow, obviously, but, families with their picnic blankets and kids just running around going crazy. But then when races are on, getting trackside and up against the fence and getting a real buzz out of the horses coming by and that amazing sound that only our sport can generate. The sound of hopples and horses and drivers, giving it some to try and find that extra yard. It's just amazing, Freddie. I just love these community events that, clearly Sarah's walked and talked us through a little bit there of what Junee's going to deliver on Saturday night.
I've been lucky over the years at various times of my harness calling career. I've got to different Carnival of Cups events, and they're no different. I mean, obviously the racing's a bit different because of the size of tracks or the like, but in terms of the product and in terms of the reaction from those that go to watch and be part of the night, there's just an incredible buzz, whether it's, a Maitland, an Orange. I did a couple at the old Orange track. Musselbrook, I did a couple at Musselbrook. Just a real buzz, Paul, around, that the fact that, hey, it's the big night in town and people are going out to the trots. It's fantastic.
Sarah, we love Junee, and here's a reason why.
Walker down the right. Junee! That is a super try! That is
Rabbi.
Freddie loves it.
Well, I do, because that try he's talking about was the Mighty Roosters scoring Darren Junee.
I don't know what it is about Junee, but bloody all of my cousins down here love the Roosters too, and I can't believe it.
They're very smart people.
Who's
your team, Sarah?
I go for the Raiders.
Right.
Mighty Laurie Daly, Junee boy. You got to support the Raiders.
Yeah, fair enough.
Went some good talent come out of that area, hasn't there?
Oh, that whole
We're
base.
good at everything down here.
What about racing administration?
We can work on that, but we're trying.
Hey, Sarah, you just quickly before we let you go, you mentioned you've had sifting through the noms for the Cup. Are you in a position to tell us, are there any Sydney stables and
It's a little
any
fantasy
visitors?
harness racing question. I feel this is laced.
No, it's not. No, I'm curious.
There may be. Can't disclose too much, but there
sure.
may be a few Sydney trainers featuring in the noms so far.
Awesome.
That's
So
exciting.
That's
it's always
exciting.
it's always good to get some of the city trainers coming down. We always get a lot of support off the Turnbulls and the guys from the Western Districts, which is always great to see. The Turnbulls, they support the country cups everywhere, which all the small clubs really appreciate the support with the noms and stuff. But yeah, we do have a few from the metro area this year too, I can say. So that'll be a nice little addition to the cup.
Fantastic. Well, Sarah, we wish you luck. I'll be there Saturday night. So when you said that you're stocking up the bar fridge, just put a couple aside for me for when my shift ends, eh?
Yeah, no worries, we'll do. There was always a good after party at the Cup too, so
Look
you can
forward
hang
to it.
around for that.
Look forward to it. All right. Thanks, Sarah. Great to have you on the line.
No worries. Thanks, guys. See you
luck.
later.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Sarah.
Good luck.
All right, guys. Carnival of Cups, the tour just sort of continues on. It's it's a great concept. I love that. That's a key thing for New South Wales. Tamworth had their Carnival of Cups meeting just the other night on Friday night. What a great event! Like John Dumacy and Peter Carney from our office went and just came back just in raptures about what a great job they did. The crowd, how big it was, just an amazing atmosphere. The Dashdown races, I was there for last year's event and they said it was even bigger and better again. So I just love that these communities pour so much effort and energy into getting it right and just putting on a good community event. It's
the
a great part of
cornerstone
horse
of-
racing, isn't it?
about.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
cornerstone of what the whole product and the concept was when it was, brought in, over a decade ago now. So
And we saw Metro drivers going up. Like Cam Hart went up, and we're going to talk about it shortly, but had 4 winners up there. Hannah Will won the Golden Guitar last year, and it's become a bit of a destination race too, hasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I know Will really enjoyed his trips to Tamworth. I think he was hoping to get there again this year, but didn't have anything to go. But they certainly do a great job up there.
I spoke to Will at the end of the year actually for Sky for in the gig. We went round and we spoke to drivers and said, what's your highlight of the year? And Will actually said winning that Golden Guitar was his highlight of the year. And that's really cool.
they're
Fred,
hard races to win, Paul.
Yeah,
That's the thing, I think. They're really hard, some of these, because they're so competitive. And, we'll see Will drive a stack of winners at Penrith, say, on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
But to get to a place like Tamworth and take their feature race on their entire racing carnival, I'm not surprised that, that's a highlight for him. Or was a
How
highlight.
cool that one of the regional races is the highlight for one of our Metro
That's what I'm-
drivers
yeah,
too.
that's
you
it.
know.
There's also interstate trainers that travel there to taste success, and we saw that there on Friday night. But so many Queensland stables come to Tamworth.
Yeah, well, they came and raided the barn, didn't they?
They right.
Graham Dwyer and Brendan Barnes took out the feature, the Golden Guitar this year with Surf Ace. The riding was on the wall. The heat performance was outstanding, broke the track record, and then came out and did the job again in the final. Really good performance, Jess.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal performance. It was, as you said there, he broke the track record in the heat, and then in the final he was just too strong.
4 winners for Cam Hart, as I mentioned, Fred. Cam's sort of eased his way into 2023 and then just said, all right, I figured I'm around. I'm going to go to Tamworth and walk away with half the card.
You just don't forget he's around. That's the simple message there, the take home. He's just driving in phenomenal form, whether he's driving interstate or driving up here at home. He's just in a great vein of form, Cam.
Is there much driving up at that Tamworth track, Hannah?
Never been there, no.
Wow. All right, you got to get
Destination
there.
next year, yeah.
It's a great town too. I love going to Tamworth. It's got a real cool vibe to it. And, just the...
Well, weren't the Golden Guitars on over the course
Yeah.
of the weekend as well? So the place would just be
Great
Great
absolutely
atmosphere. They would've-
pumping.
yeah, and they pulled an extra crowd with it. And just the Dashdown races, they go back to it. They had it last year and they got a really good crowd outside of the racing fraternity that turned up for that, and all the reports are we got extra nominations and
Gracie's
that
dog
we're not
didn't
sure.
didn't
Don't know if
end up
Gracie-
getting a start.
Yeah, I don't know if she ended up getting a chance to get a run. She had three noms, so
Okay.
I don't know if she managed to get a run. Just FebFest, Newcastle. So Newcastle have got the Newcastle Mile on the 17th of February. Then we sort of said, well, let's make their Carnival of Cups meeting a different date. We worked in with the club and we put that on the 3rd of February. So what the club did then was said, all right, well, we've got one on the 3rd of February, one on the 17th. Let's put one in the middle as well and call it a 3-week carnival. And they've called it FebFest. Great initiative.
Fantastic initiative, and I like that the first night's Carnival of Cups night, then the middle night, which is the 10th of February, is celebrating Team Teal, and it's Team Teal Frocks at the Trots, and then of course the week after it's their pinnacle event, the Newcastle Mile. But I did read in an article that from the Channel 9 show Travel Guides that Kathy and Victoria Fred, Newcastle locals, will be making appearance there at Team Teal night. So I might even have to get up there. I'm big fans of theirs, and I know Hanny's as well.
Bit of fangirling going on.
There's some fan.
Yeah, no, it'll be great.
They're very funny, aren't they? They are very funny.
Hilarious. Yeah.
They crack me up.
They do a great job there at the Newcastle Club. Wayne Smith and Jane Hextall are amazing at what they do. They go above and beyond. We're going to have Darryl Rogers on the show next week, actually, to talk about what's happening there with Newcastle. But, yeah, they've made a lot of effort to make sure that each night has, while it's all working in sync with each other, they've each got their own, purpose, I guess.
Standalone
Yeah,
aspect,
standalone events, all part of a common umbrella. And I think they've done an amazing job. Really look forward to how that plays out. And of course, it's a starting point for the Carnival of Miracles as well.
Yes, that Newcastle Mile carries an automatic qualification into the $1 million Miracle Mile here. So we're getting very excited for that.
Yeah, I was trackside last year. Brittany Graham and I did the hosting for Sky that night, actually, and the great atmosphere on track, but it went up a notch when the Newcastle Mile was on, Freddie. The emphasis on that race and the opportunity for that golden ticket to go straight into the Miracle Mile is a really lucrative carrot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we've seen it over the last couple of years, and it's produced some very good horses that have Mac Dan and I think the Black Prince won it as well 2 years ago to get into a Miracle.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's that sort of race. It's very sought after and gives trainers an alternative to racing here in the qualifiers.
Yep. It sure is. All right, guys. Now I just played the dramatic effect. But what I thought I'd do, because we've got our regular segment, the best thing that I saw, what I thought I would do would give us a new one. And Jess, I was workshopping this pre-show, wasn't I?
Yes,
Freddie.
Yes.
Now this is a song that was rather big from a rather big band in the 90s, and Jess went straight over your head. You had no idea who Boom Crash Opera was.
No idea what was going on.
But in fairness to Jess, she wasn't born with Boom Crash Opera. I think we've just staged ourselves very badly.
We tend
Paul,
to do
but
it far
we
too
were
often.
we were both amazed. Well, you haven't heard of Boom Crash Opera, and Jess is going, nah.
We tend to do it far too often on this show. We're going to have to check ourselves a little bit, Freddie,
Yeah, I
and
know.
make sure that we
Get some hip hop, a
More.
bit of Eminem
Yeah.
or
Tay
something.
Tay,
Tay-Tay, yeah.
Kanye,
Well,
Miley.
What's the best thing? I know that Freddie and Hannah, you two are pretty in alignment on the best thing that you saw this week. You want to run us through it?
Yeah, mine was Pete Said So winning the free-for-all on Saturday night. He went super. I think they went 49.3, was it? And he's just been such a consistent horse, and he deserves a nice win like that for Lucky Lodge.
Look, I think he is just the emergence of this horse, particularly over the last 6 months, where we've seen him go from being a pretty, handy horse, and he won his share of races, but certainly he's really stepped up. He's grown a leg since the Interdom Carnival, as Han just said. 49.3 coming off the back of Expensive Ego. We know how good he is. And it must be a little thing there, a bit of, last year it was Josh upsetting the Expensive Ego apple cart, and he's done it again 12 months later. This time Pete Said So coming off the back of Expensive Ego to ping him. But gee, he's just been a real find, and I had him pigeonholed as more a staying type, but 49.3, and his mile record here is actually quite good. So I'm with you there, Hannah. I think he's just been a real find. When I say find, he's been around a long time, but he's really emerged as an open class horse in the last 6 to 8 months.
Spoke to Robbie. I mentioned talking to Will before. about his highlight of the year. When Robbie said it was the emergence of Pete Setso late in the year through the Inter-Dominion campaign, and he really had high hopes and was excited about what was to come. I don't know if Pete Setso's ahead of the curve at all, but he certainly had the Carnival as
It was in,
that was the conversation. That's where they were headed. That said, Robbie missed a week because of a suspension. Had to feel for him. Josh took the drive, and Pete Setso does come out and wins that race at Menangle. Had to feel for Robbie, Jess.
Yeah, I think Robbie would have copped it pretty hard at the stable since Saturday. I don't think they would have let him forgot that, but I'm sure Robbie still would have been cheering just as hard wherever he was.
Big scalps that Pete Setso took down in that race, as you said.
He did.
I mean, that was an elite level race. So, keep an eye out. I would have thought we're going to see more of Pete Setso through the Carnival of Miracles. Yeah. What did you like this week, Jess?
Yeah, I'm a bit late to the party here, but I only saw it announced on the Temora Trotting Club socials this week. But at their Carnival of Cups meeting, Ray and Jane Walker were awarded life memberships to the club, and I couldn't think of two more deserving people to be awarded that. They've put countless hours into that and their dedication. So congratulations, Ray and Jane. I'm sure there would have been a few beverages to celebrate that accolade.
Yeah, good on you. Certainly good servants of harness racing, and and a lot of the foundations that they've laid were very evident for me to see when I went to the Temora meeting there a couple of weeks ago. Big crowds, good system in place. There's new people pouring energy into the administration side of it, but the legacy certainly was created and left by the Walker family. So yeah, excellent to see. I'm going to go to Broken Hill with mine. Boris, so 5 races on the card there on Saturday night. Boris Devcic drove 3 of them. Not bad if you can drive 60% of the card. It's going
Very
all right.
impressive. Very nice.
So a good effort there. So lots of great things going on around the traps right across the state. We had a busy week. We've got an even busier week coming up on the schedule, but lots of great things going on. Let's get into it, This one could well have been one of the best things that you saw this week. Jane Morris. Now, I think Jane falls into the category of hobbyist as a trainer, driver. She's an owner. She's actually a lawyer as a real job. And then she's turning up and going around tracks. Now, she had a winner at Dubbo. I went back through the record. For the last 5 years, she had 1 winner a year. She went crazy last year. She had 2 winners. So, fantastic. These are the sort of stories that only our sport can deliver. People who can have a real job and then be a hobbyist and turn up and let their horse go around and they do all the work, as I said, own, train, drive, go around and put it all together. What a great outcome.
40 years ago, that's what you had. You had hobbyists. They were the people that basically carried the industry for such a long time. You had your professional trainers and the like, but the hobbyist is crucial to the ongoing, viability of the sport. And there are plenty of them that you'd consider as a hobbyist. Plenty of people who train and drive very sporadically, but well done to Jane. And I'm pretty sure she'd be pretty handy in the steward's room if she's a lawyer. If she got into a bit of strife,
the boys might meet their match.
I think Perry, they'd need Perry Mason on their side to try and outwit Jane. But yeah, well done,
Hannah. What is it about your cousins?
Hey?
Those Turnbulls, Nathan. Dubbo. He owns Dubbo. Whenever I see him listed there, I think, Nathan Turnbull's going to have a fat night here, and he had a double again. Like, they're not bad, are they?
He's just flying, Nathan. His team's going super, and he had a great season last year, and he looks on track to do it again this year.
So double at Dubbo, and that was a fantasy harness racing points getting night as well. Justin Reynolds had a double on that program as well. I saw some fairly astute people got Justin into their team, actually. Now, he did cop a suspension on that program as well, so he'll be a swift in and out, I think, in the trade process, but he did get points immediate return for people. Nathan had a good night at Bathurst on Friday night as well. They may as well rename that track at Bathurst the Turnbull Hewitt Stadium or something like that, because they just seem to win everything. But he had a double at Bathurst on Friday night as well. Now, we had a rare Bathurst outing for Luke McCarthy, Freddie. So Luke went there, and I guess there was a quirk in the schedule. It's unusual that Bathurst was a Friday night program, but it was, and Luke went there and he picked up a double.
Oh, well, again, of course, in terms of Luke being at Bathurst, generally always there for carnivals and the Shirley Turnbull night, but obviously, the way the schedule fell with Dubbo being on the Wednesday, it just played out, and he was to the fore.
Good track there at Bathurst, isn't it, Hannah?
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it there.
Yeah.
Sprint lane.
Yeah. You like the sprint lane?
Yeah,
sprint lane,
I
yeah.
really like the sprint
There you
lane.
go.
like
The podcast
we like
or
the sprint
actual
lane.
lane?
Thanks for that. There's our promo.
There's our promo, yeah.
We'll put that in and
Hannah
out.
loves the sprint lane.
Yeah. Look, Luke McCarthy, if he turns up at a race meet, he's probably going to pick you up a winner. He got one at Menangle on Saturday night. Jess Kingmaker looks a fairly decent type.
Yeah, has been really impressive. It's won its last 2 starts here at Menangle, and before that it won up at Newcastle. So it continues to step up to the mark each week, and excited to see where the Cobbitty Equine Farm team have him going.
Cobbitty pretty much is the Kingmakers now with King of Swing.
Very
That
good.
could be a new
Being the stump
tagline.
breaking,
Well played.
So, didn't all go to plan though. They had expensive. We just mentioned Pete said so. Pete said so rolled expensive ego for the McCarthys at $1.25. So probably one the punters didn't see coming. If expensive ego's going around at $1.25 for it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. He had the lead. Pete said so was able to ping him from behind. There's talk, and I still haven't seen total confirmation that he was going to just basically stay here and focus with a view to the carnival, so dodging a trip to Melbourne. If that's the case, he'll bounce back expensive.
Yeah.
He's just too good a horse. He's heading towards a millionaire. I think he's got $880,000 in stakes. He's just a phenomenal racehorse. Always has been from his juvenile days, way back in the days when Thorny had him. And he'll bounce back. But I guess that just amplifies the prominence or the emergence of how well Pete Sedso's racing now.
Incredibly, even though expensive ego was $1.25, was not the shortest price favourite going around at Menangle Saturday night. That was Amanda's, Hannah. Your cousin Amanda Turnbull was here. She had Tin Joe. Won like a good thing as well.
Yeah, won very well. I think she got a cheap half in the middle there, got a slow sectional, and ran away from them.
Okay. The greatest horse on the planet then came out and won the last, Caligula.
I was surprised that wasn't your best thing this week.
Yeah, we're straight on the text too, weren't we?
We were
Oh, the
still
texts were
straight in
flying.
the group
Sent you a little.
chat.
Sent you a
I
little
was
heart.
off on Saturday trying to watch a movie, relaxing, a can
it's
in
Caligula.
the hand, and I'm getting messages about Caligula, and I thought, Caligula just won.
They didn't put the last at Menangle up on the big screen at Hoyts for you.
No, no, they should have.
We interrupt this movie to bring you the last at Menangle. Yeah, no, okay. So yeah, well done, Caligula. Went round as favourite for Blake Fitzpatrick, and absolutely brained him in the end.
He just loves this mile, and we had Blake on the show, and he said that last year's Inter Dominion campaign kind of flattened him out a bit, but he's just going to focus on the mile racing. And I think just quickly scanning through his record, he's won 3 of his past 5 over the mile, and he'd won another one before that in September. So Blake stuck to that plan, and it's paying dividends.
He really just does relish the racing here at Menangle, doesn't he, over that short course?
One to mention, Jimmy Locke won the first for Joe Connolly and Seaton Grimer. Is there a chance we can get Jimmy Locke to drive Jimmy Locke?
Well, yeah, that'd be
That would be.
Is there any, do we know the story? Is there any synergy with the name there?
I don't know the story, but it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
We'll have to do some research.
We're going to have to try and make the planets align here and get Jimmy Locke to drive Jimmy Locke. And Freddie, that would just be all your dreams coming true if you're calling that race.
Here's Jimmy Locke with Jimmy. Look,
Here's
I can
Jimmy.
tell you, I'm just very quickly on the run here. I can tell you that Jimmy Locke has never driven Jimmy Locke.
Yeah. Well, we've got to make this happen.
So
We'll get Jimmy Locke's people to talk to Jimmy Locke's people. And then we'll kind of make
See if
it.
we can tee it up.
Matt Lepard's one of the owners of Jimmy Locke. I'm
Yep.
sure he's still in the ownership. So if that's the case, there's your challenge,
We've got
Matt.
to make, we've got to make this happen.
the driver James Locke, Jimmy Locke onto Jimmy Locke.
Obviously, we raced here at Menangle after the show on Tuesday. The young guns really stood up. Wins for Jack Brown. Leighton Green had a winner. Grace Pinella, who was obviously on the show last week, she came out and won won the last on that program. Great, the young guns turn up and just go bang, Jess.
Yeah, they do week in, week out here, and another phenomenal effort from those 3 drivers here last Tuesday. And like you said, Grace was our guest, and she managed to drive a winner. So, Han, it could be
No pressure.
good fortune.
Yeah. It actually has proven to be a good luck charm sitting in that chair. This one, as we found out at the start of the show, maybe not so.
Well, you're still upright. Just don't move around too much.
It is in deterioration state, just quietly. Jack Brown, we just mentioned, he seems to have a love affair with Penrith as well. He's going really well there. He had a double at Penrith on Thursday night. Cameron Hart had a double at Penrith on Thursday night as well. Hannah, you've been going really well there. What is it about that track?
I don't know, but I love it there. It's such a good track there, and just the racing there is great. I think it's probably a bit more tactical there, a bit more exciting, I guess. So, it's a great little track.
You had, obviously, last Thursday wasn't as good as what it had been in some weeks leading up. You had some great form in those previous weeks. That must have been a lot of fun. Yeah,
it's good when it all comes together sort of on one night. Had a few winners in one night there. So, it was really good.
Okay. All right. Well, Canberra raced last night. Jackson Painting, he had a double at Wagga on Tuesday for fantasy owners. Sadly, that particular Wagga meeting wasn't part of the point schedule. And Brad Hewitt had a double at Wagga on Friday afternoon, including Lebowski. And we had Jared Croker on the fantasy podcast a few weeks ago. He was really excited about this horse, about Lebowski, and it came out and won the same day that we recorded the show, and I noticed it's won again. I know he was super excited about Lebowski.
One to Black Book, potentially.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that group of owners seems to be picking some really... Their eye for detail has been bang on, and then Brad Hewitt now. Yeah, and then throw in the Brad Hewitt sort of stable and his ability to get the best out of horses, the ability to drive them as well as anyone in the country. There's a lot of ingredients that all come into play there, isn't it?
Absolutely, and Brad's...
Whoa, I cut you off, Freddie.
That's all right. I was looking down at the fact Brad Hewitt's got escape artist racing today and has to be, some chance from the pole.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well... Fantasy harness racing, I've alluded to it a couple of times. It's got everyone talking, which is fantastic. Hannah, I tried to get the stats off the developer, but I reckon you would have to be one of the most popular selections. Is everyone telling you that you're in their team? Or
I've had a few people tell me that, yeah.
It's probably because we priced you so low. Did that offend you, by the way?
Oh, no, it's okay.
Oh, yeah, that's what she says. She's got to say that. She's sitting a metre from me, Yeah, I mean, we priced you low, but you're as soon as, and obviously those prices were done sort of 2/3 of the way through last year when the game was in development, and then your form since that happened has been amazing. So a lot of people earmarked you very early as...
That's why. That's probably why. When because Hannah really, back end of last season, really just started to really come along and is in my team as a reserve, yes.
Mine also.
As a reserve.
As a reserve.
You're actually in my starting lineup, and you've done really well for me, so thank you for that. And my team's doing really well.
Oh, the commissioner.
Yeah,
my team's going well. But, is it weird when people talk to you about, I've got you in my fantasy team? Like, is it just the conversation that we've engineered now, and it's just part of harness racing vernacular now?
Yeah, I think it's just a common conversation now, as you said. But no, I love it when people tell me that. I'm honoured.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Because remember Grace on the show last week, and I said, I saw you and Robbie talking while you were just milling around waiting to score up. And she said, we're talking about the fantasy game. Yeah. Love it. If drivers are talking about it out on track, so good. All right, so how's your team going, Jess?
Yeah, I had a much better week. In round 2, I improved. I went from around the high 600s to I'm now towards the low 400s. So I thought that was a good effort. Yeah. And I utilised my 4 trades this week and have gone very metropolitan heavy.
Good stuff. And you had a big surge up the leaderboard, didn't you, Freddie?
Yeah, I went from 335 to 140. So it's a Melbourne Cup type race, this. So I'm hoping by week 15 of 25, I'm up in the top 50. But it was a good week. Cam Hart sort of delivered big for me because I had him as my captain. We know he had a good night at Penrith on Thursday, great night at Tamworth on Friday. So he was a big deliverer of points for me. And like Jess just said, I've gone real heavy this week on the Metro, putting in some of the top and most expensive drivers at the expense in some of the regional areas of I've had to put in a couple of, lower priced drivers. But that said, when you're doing your trades, try and look ahead when the fields are out, at say, for example, Penrith on Thursday night, or at Bathurst on when they're racing, and try and factor some of those cheaper ones in so you can go a bit top heavier in the Metro, because I think that's the real trick. Because generally these Metro drivers, like a Hannah, like a Will, like a Luke popped up and a Cam, they're getting to some of these country places right now, country centres. So they're not only just earning points at the 3 Metro meetings, Penrith and the 2 Menangles, they're popping up and picking up points elsewhere.
Yeah.
That's a real important factor, I think, when determining your team and your trades.
Cameron didn't even drive Saturday night, and he picked up 89 points. Imagine what he could have done if he'd have been here Saturday night. Yeah, and I think the scores are going to start getting big. Like we're getting into double and triple points territory. We've got the double points on the feature at Junee Saturday night, so that's going to be an opportunity for people to surge. The points kind of went begging in Tamworth because Brendan Barnes as a Queensland driver wasn't in the game. There was another driver actually finished in the first 4. I think that wasn't picking up points as well. Yep. So the points kind of went begging a little bit there. And in the previous week when we were at Temora, Mark Hewitt got the points, and a lot of people I think were banking on Nathan or Mitch Turner.
I wasn't.
Getting it. You had Mark Hewitt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a
Still
good
in my
get.
team, yeah.
It's a good get. So who you put a team together, Hannah? Who'd you go for first and zero in and say they have to be in my team?
I've got Manda. She's my captain. I probably put her in first. I think, I started off strong and I've sort of faded since then, but working on it.
You could have picked a team full of your cousins. You still would have had to leave some out.
I think Abby's as well in the Riverina that you could buy too. So there's another one.
Yeah.
I think I had Manda, Nathan, and Mitch, and I think I've got Abby in the Riverina.
What about Will?
Oh,
thank goodness.
All right.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, it's another big week ahead. As you said, we gave everyone an extra trade. I was feeling a bit generous over the weekend, so we said, righto, you can have an extra trade. And part of the idea with that is we obviously don't want this massive big gap, starting between the leader and where people are, and people feel like it's so far out of reach. So hopefully it helps people sort of get their team back in order. Obviously we had some suspensions this week as well. Like, unfortunately, Grace is out suspended for 2 weeks. Grace Pinella. Justin Reynolds is going to be out for a couple of weeks. There's a handful of drivers
Robbie's
who are
just
going to be
coming
missing.
back.
Robbie's
from
coming
a
back in. And
so he was out last week.
And we know that there's some moves to make. So, take advantage of this extra trade this week because, who knows if it'll happen again. I could be a grumpy bugger on weekends. So
we might only get 2 next week.
No. I won't take trades away. What I do need to stress, though, is that if you don't use that 4th trade, it won't roll over. It's use it or lose it. Yeah. So, don't...
So get in and use it.
Yeah, don't think that it's just going to roll over and you can bank it and have it in credit. It doesn't work like that. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been real good. We had the leaders jersey that we rolled out last week as well. So, really easy to spot in running. Jack Callaghan wore it. I think he was pretty happy to hand it back.
Cerise.
Yes.
Yeah.
I call it Cerise.
Yeah.
Hey, you've got an hour and 10 for your trades.
Yeah, so
an hour and 10 left.
So that 1 o'clock lockout is pretty strict. Don't leave it too late to get in. And so Cameron Hart will wear the leaders jersey this week, and then the idea is that it becomes rather aspirational. That people want to, and it helps to identify who the leader is in running. It'd be pretty hard to miss, Freddie, I guess, when you call it.
It stood out like an oasis in the Sahara. It was great. Loved it.
Yeah. All right. So I just love that the drivers have embraced it, got around it, and really see it as an opportunity to grow our sport. That's ultimately what it is, and to stimulate the conversation. As you said, Hannah, people are talking about harness racing in a different way, but ultimately it all comes back to the same core subject, which is what's happening on the track, and that's really what we want. So it is fantastic. All right, Team Teal time is coming round. I know that we've announced who our ambassadors are going to be for harness racing in New South Wales. Obviously, ambassadors are giving up their time and their profile right across the country. Here in New South Wales, we're very fortunate to have an amazing group of female drivers who really do get on the front foot and initiate their involvement in this. And outside of that, we've got some of the male drivers and partners of some of our females in the industry who do actively get involved as well. You're amazing. We love the work you do. It helps raise valuable funds for an incredible cause, what Team Teal does. So Belinda McCarthy, Kerry Ann Morris, and this year Sophia Arvison's going to come on board as a ambassador for us here in the Metropolitan as well, which is great. Sophia's got such a big, bold personality. It's great. She'll really get around it, and she's got a reach outside of Australia as well, given that she moved here from Europe. So yeah, that's fantastic. Gemma Coney, Grace Pinella, and Melanie Elder will be helping us out up there in that Hunter region. Taylor Osmond's come on board this year. Great emerging young lady, really outstanding driver on the track. The family's just a delight to be around. Fantastic. Ellen Bartley as well. And around with Ellen's involvement, Blake Jones wears the colours as well when he drives. So there's extra money keeps getting generated. Obviously, Blake's so successful down there in the Riverina as well. So every time he's winning, the till's ticking over as well, Fred. So it's good. And obviously, Amanda Turnbull, she's just been an incredible ambassador for this cause year on year. And she costs us a bit because she keeps winning. But that's good.
That's what we wanted.
That's good for the campaign. So every time she wins, and Emma Turnbull's on board as well. So
Very nice.
we've got an amazing fleet of women who've come on board, and obviously, as I said, some of the men will be involved as well. Robbie Morris gets involved.
He does.
He does.
I neglected to mention Robbie when I mentioned Kerry Ann before. So, yeah, the support is really humbling for an organisation that we've got so many people want to be involved in, and they're proactive. So, Team Teal, it does great things, doesn't it, Jess?
It does fantastic things, and it really has become a staple on our harness racing calendar across Australasia here. I know New Zealand get involved as well, and everyone really looks forward to it. And I know Han could probably speak to this more, but the female drivers that wear those teal pants, when they go out there wearing them, they want to get that win a little bit more than what they normally do because they know it goes to such a good cause.
Yeah, look, it's been a great initiative over many years now, but it just seems to be getting bigger and bigger, and rightly so. We need as much, research into ovarian cancer as is possible, and it's the beauty of this sport. We've just come out of we tend to have these fundraising and awareness, months, and it's such a good thing to have, and harness racing should be proud of the role they play in that.
I think the hot pink fantasy harness racing leaders jersey with the teal pants is going to be a great look.
I think that'll look quite nice. I am a pink and blue fan.
Quite fetching. Yeah. So
Nice ensemble.
Keep an eye out for Team Teal. It's on the way. The ambassadors have been locked in. It raises an incredible amount of money for a great cause, as Fred said. So keep an eye out for it. There are other ways that you can get involved to help out outside of what the drivers and peak body organisations are contributing as well, such as Harness Racing New South Wales. I know that Club Menangle gets involved as well, and different organisations around the place, Tab, get around it. So, we're really fortunate that we've got such a great philanthropic work going on in our industry. All right, Hannah, it is great to have you on the show. You've been on our scribble pad for a little while. Let's get Hannah Rixon on the show. And I think this week is really, really timely because you've got a book of drives here this afternoon at Menangle. You've got drives in the metropolitan region in particular throughout the week. But you're a name that keeps dropping on people's lips because we just talked about it before. Everyone seems to have you in your fantasy team. What do you put your recent run of good form down to?
Oh, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. It's sort of, you have good runs and bad runs in this game, and sometimes it all just seems to come together, and, obviously horses racing in competitive races, and
You're the you're the daughter of amazing harness racing people. You're the cousin and brother of amazing harness racing people, but you're the granddaughter of probably the GOAT. You got pretty good pedigree. Like, how do you? Obviously, there must have been advice coming at you from everywhere and little tidbits of information. Are you the type of person that sort of banks those bit and absorbs that, or were you a bit stubborn as a kid and said, no, I'm going to do this my own way? Like, what was the Hannah Rixon way of going about things?
I'd like to think I absorbed it. I think I started a little bit later than Ellen and Will and that, so I think I sort of sat back and, you know, absorbed it all and, yeah.
All right. What do you remember of Granddad?
Oh, lots. He's, yeah, he was great. He wasn't a man of a lot of advice or anything like that, but, yeah, we used to ring him like after every meeting and he'd watch all our races. He'd watch all his grandkids race every day. He'd have a little, all the fields printed out and highlighted who he needs to watch. So, yeah, we used to talk to him about, you know, every race and he'd sort of say, you know, what he thought about the runner and that. And, yeah.
I remember Will mentioning that actually, that he whenever he drove in Bathurst, he'd drop in and see him, and he always had the highlighter pen. He was a highlighter pen man, was he? He'd have the cuttings, and he said there was always just a little nugget that was worth taking in. Beautiful moment. I spoke to your mum. Your mum actually rang me up, chased some photos for his service, and needed a couple of photos, a couple of the grandkids, you know, in racing, and I told her the story how when I went for my job. And I wanted to write a story and go into the interview panel and say, here's a story. And I'd watched the racing the night before, and Will had won on a horse. And I tracked Will down, and within 5 minutes I'm talking to him. Another one of the great things about harness racing that doesn't happen in a lot of wrote a story up. Now in that story, Will told me, he said, this year I want to win a Group 1. And later that year, he wins his first Group 1 on the same night that AD passed away. And just an amazing, like almost like a goosebumpy kind of synergy that one of the last, I'm told through your mum, that one of the last things AD learnt was that his grandson's just won his first Group 1. Beautiful story.
Very special.
Yeah.
Very special. And you mentioned before how Ellen and Will both started race driving when they were 16. You're a bit of a late bloomer. You didn't start until you were about 17 or 18. What made you want to jump into the race gig?
I'm not sure exactly. I'd obviously always been around horses. I grew up around them, and yeah, I think I was heavily involved like in the training side of it for a long time, and wasn't sure if I'd go into driving, and then yeah, I'm not sure. I thought I'd just give it a go. I remember saying I might just do my trials and see how I go. I wasn't sure if I was really going to go into it, and yeah, it just kind of snowballed from there.
You just touched on the fact that you're the granddaughter of the great AD Tony Turnbull, and the dynasty that Tony has left. That obviously would be a help to your career, but does it bring added pressure? Is there extra pressure on you to live up to that name?
I don't think so too much. I was his last grandchild to drive. All his other grandkids. Yes. Obviously my cousins had driven before me. So, yeah, I don't think so. Probably Ellen and Will both did really well, you know, especially early on in their careers. And, yeah, but I'd probably just try and stay in my own lane and, yeah.
There was a race, we've talked about this on the podcast. Remember there was a race last year where Will was on a short price favourite and he looked home and hosed and then flashed up on the outside. Twin sister comes along and bang, got him.
Is this the Group 3?
Was that the race?
Yeah.
He wasn't happy.
Yeah.
He was moping around. I brought it up with him in the sheds there. A few days later, he wasn't happy.
Yeah, I knew he wouldn't be deep down. He seemed happy to me, but I think he was, you know, a little bit happy for me and proud that I'd won my first.
Mixed sort of feelings.
But I'm sure he was. Mostly
All right, so let's flip this. What's the other side of the equation? What was your emotions?
Oh, I was pretty excited. Obviously, I just won my first Group 3 race, and yeah, I was just excited for obviously the connections of that horse, Paint Me a Reason. Johnny Wheeler, he's been so good to me, so it was good to get a good win with him. And she has great bunch of owners, Paint Me a Reason. So they were all really excited. And yeah, obviously beating Will was good too.
I was about to go. I didn't think you were going to raise that, and I thought that's my next question.
That was my dine out moment.
Yeah,
last year on the podcast, because Paint Me a Reason was my horse to fight, my black booker. And it came out and won twice and ran a placing, I think, a heat of that race that you ended up winning at $8 a place. So, bless Paint Me a Reason.
Bless her.
So, if you're a late bloomer to the sport, if you weren't doing this, what would you be doing?
I have no idea, actually. It's funny, I think back to when I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not, because now I just can never imagine not driving. And, yeah, it's such a big part of my life. So, yeah. Do
you like the other stuff that goes around being in the industry? Like, driving's one part of it, but I know that there's mucking out stables and
all that.
Yeah. track work and stuff. Do you
Yeah,
like?
I do. Yeah.
You do like?
Yeah, I do like it. Yeah.
All right. So do you see it as a long-term thing, or do you think it'll lose its appeal at some point?
No, I think a long term thing.
Yeah.
You know, for
Away
long
from the
haul.
track as well, you're also studying
Yes.
paramedicine,
Yeah.
and you're looking to take a career in that when you finish your studies.
Yeah. Yeah. So I knew I definitely wanted to do something like when I finished school. I wanted to do something else, and I probably knew I was always going to be involved in harness racing. But see how that goes.
So is this classroom stuff, or are you doing it externally?
No, it's at uni. Yeah.
You're in the classroom.
Yeah.
And you're getting these young punks at uni coming up and wanting tips, or
No.
We're going to have to get them onto the
Don't
fantasy
get-
game.
do
Get
they
their
know who's
classmate
sitting
Hannah.
amongst their midst?
No.
Do they realise that the
Don't you know who I am?
Hannah Rixon from Fantasy Harness Racing is sitting in among the lecture theatre?
Who's on everyone's team?
Yeah. So what's the plan with that? Like, why that? Is that just something you've had a passion for, or?
Well, I went into health science because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do when I finished school, but I knew I probably wanted to do something like in the health area, and I did health science for a year and a half after I finished school, and I just went into paramedicine from there because I just not really sure what made me want to do it, but that's just what I chose.
It takes a decent sized brain to get into a course like that, Hannah. You must have a few books up your sleeve.
Not really.
You must have done pretty well at school.
Very clever.
Not too bad, yeah.
Yeah, well done. Jeez, feel a bit inferior sitting
Going to
here.
end up with more degrees than a thermometer.
I'm just a humble person who creates stuff for the internet.
What about in terms of your dad's great horse, Divisive? You were only quite young when he was wreaking havoc at Harold Park and winning Miracle Miles and other great races. What are your memories of that horse and the euphoria within the family of having a champion?
Oh, he's just so special to us. I think he was 2 years younger than me. So when I started primary school, he was racing in all the derbies and that. And I just remember like we went to Melbourne a lot, and we went over to Perth, and I don't think I went to New Zealand, but Tasmania. So we just got to travel all around with him, which is something we probably wouldn't have been able to do, with people with horses. But I remember like his Miracle Mile win and that, and just such special memories.
Yeah, and I've heard that from racing families, that the horse has been kind of what's taken them on holidays and taken them on life experiences and trips and that type of thing. I know that Peter Morris talks a lot about that with horses that he's had. Steve Turnbull's told similar stories. It's great.
That horse Divisive we just talked about, one little piece of history that will never be usurped is he was the last winner of a Miracle Mile at Harold Park.
Right.
Because the next year the Miracle Mile switched here and it was taken out, the inaugural running at Menangle on a Sunday afternoon by a horse called Monkey King from New Zealand. But Divisive won the very last Miracle Mile that was staged at Harold Park.
Yeah. So, Hannah, you obviously have had a great run of race results. You just talked what a special feeling that was to win the Group 3. Have you got your eye on going beyond that and the big races? And if you do, have you sort of thought, what do I need to do to go to the next level to be among the big dogs out there in the big races?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. It's probably, I don't really have a race set out or anything like that, but probably, a bit more of a short-term mindset, I guess. I'd, just look week to week and try and do the best on, what I've got ahead of me.
And are you getting, because you've been in such good form, are you getting more calls to drive, or like people, like obviously particularly with Penrith, you seem to be popping up a bit more?
Yeah, I've had a busy few last weeks there. I think I had 4 last week there, and so that's always good.
All right.
Yeah.
So the phone's been running a bit hotter?
Oh, I wouldn't say it's running hot, but
It could always run hotter, couldn't it? It could always run hotter. Trainers, Hannah Rixon.
Yes. And fantasy coaches would probably be fairly happy if the phone did run a bit hotter.
Yes.
It's good. It's great to have you with us, Hannah.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we've got another big week. Freddie, 7 races this afternoon here at Menangle.
Yeah, good program. Couple of trotters races and some very good racing. Particularly, Amanda and Luke have got horses in one of the middle races. I think it's the second leg of the quaddie. It should be a good matchup. Drawn barriers 1 and 2, looking forward to it, mate.
Well, we've talked a bit about Junee and their Carnival of Cups meeting coming up on the weekend. They actually race tonight as well. Now, because of the public holiday for Australia Day on Thursday, Penrith is switching to Wednesday night. Parks will take that Thursday spot. So
You've got to get that into your heads because, and we tried to hammer the point last week at the track that Penrith are racing on Wednesday
night.
There aren't too many. They did try years and years ago, tweaking some of the race days, and Penrith did have a couple of Wednesdays, but as a rule, they're always Thursday, and you can set your watch by it. But even this week, I've sort of had in my mind, said, what am I doing tomorrow, Wednesday? Oh, I've got the day off. No, I don't. So make sure any punters that are listening that want to get out there and punt on the Penrith meeting, it's actually Wednesday.
Yep, because it does become that routine.
Oh, it's routine. And punters
Penrith
are very,
Thursday
absolutely, yeah.
All right, you make sure you remember that. You're driving in it, so
I'll be there.
don't turn up Thursday night. Bathurst and Newcastle on Friday. I'm interested to see. I think we'll get a few of the metros. Like, obviously, a lot of the metro drivers go to Newcastle, and we saw Luke go to Bathurst last week. I think we're going to see more of the metro drivers turn up on Friday night. It could be a really cool night of racing Friday night with everyone in play.
Absolutely, and for fantasy followers, remember that. Because you're going to see some of these bigger name drivers from the metro heading north or west.
Absolutely. Well, Broken Hill and Junee are on Saturday. We've got Tamworth and Canberra on Sunday, Newcastle on Monday. So there's plenty going on.
Yeah. Massive week here in New South Wales. Massive week.
Absolutely plenty going on. And then, of course, an 8-race program here on Saturday night featuring some of the hottest fields I have seen in a long time, Fred.
It's an amazing program. It really is. And it's not even part of the carnival. We're not even talking, races that are qualifiers for the chariots yet. That all happens next month on the 4th. But you've got some amazing open class horses. We get to see Bondi Lockdown, which is pretty exciting. My black booker from last week, Max Shard, goes around in that race. As I said earlier, you can really smell the carnival is coming, and it's quite exciting.
The one that I'm really excited for is the mares race there. You see Madrid, Braveview Kelly, Fairy Tinkerbell, Total Diva, Stylish Memphis. The list just goes on. A quality field there, and
I think Arabella's in that as well, and
Jess, you were out here the other day. You did some content for the Clubman Angle socials during the week, where you spoke to a lot of the drivers who trialled some of those leading horses here in the metro area. What was your sense out of some of that?
Yeah, all guns are blazing for Carnival from a lot of them. They've got their paths in mind and the qualifying races that they want to target. Just a matter of getting them there, and time will tell if they live up to it.
Obviously, you did the interviews, but my lens as a viewer watching that content was these drivers feel excited that they've got some big horsepower.
It's starting to feel a bit like Christmas Eve, I think. Carnival
How
Eve.
is it for you as a driver when the carnival is here? You mightn't have a drive in a Group 1, for example, but you're still participating on the night. Does that lift you being around those big nights?
Yeah, definitely. I was even at the trials here on Wednesday and seeing Bondi Lockdown, and there was some good runs there, and as Jess said, heading into the carnival,
What are we expecting from Bondi Lockdown? What do you think, Jess? You saw him go around trialling.
I think big things. I think we'll see him back to his best here, like we saw him in the chariots last year, and I definitely think he's a Miracle Mile contender.
Can we expect that immediately though, or is it going to? I don't know. Is it going to take time? New way of operating under the McCarthy's?
He would have had time up here to acclimatise and get used to the track, and he's going to be okay. I think it's an outstanding right now. Spirit of St. Louis is another one. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but that free for all race is just a blinder.
It is. If that was a field, Carnival of Miracles for one of the Group 1s, you'd say that's a great race.
Oh, without a doubt.
And it's a $20,000 race.
Throw in Expensive Ego and Pete Said So and one or two others.
The Black Prince is also another one. He ran third to them on Saturday.
It was a good run the other night.
A very nice run from him.
I
think Amanda might be picking up the drive on the Black Prince.
She's driven it before, from memory.
She drove him on Saturday, just gone.
Yeah. She's got Bundoran.
She's got Bundoran in that race. There's someone else. Yeah, okay. Great race.
It won't be Amanda, but...
so it won't be Amanda. Yeah. great race. Because we weren't sure what Amanda would do,
trying to-
because obviously Junee's on, and Amanda won that race last year, won the Junee Cup, so we weren't sure. But then we saw Bundoran in the fields, and we thought, okay, all right, well, she must be coming to Menangle. You guys keep your cards pretty close to your chest, don't you drivers? Particularly you Turnbull.
The element of surprise, it's called.
Yeah, I know. No, it's good. Great racing. Can't wait. If you can't be trackside, I mean, it'll be a good night here at Menangle Saturday night, Jess. So if you're in the area, or you within the radius and it's a short drive or whatever, make the effort, because it's a real good night. And I think the elite racing is just going to amplify the experience for people if they can get to the track.
It is, and of course the Simpson Memorial, we can't go amiss there. Feature race for the 3-year-old boys, and then after that, Mahomes as well. So there's another last start Group 1 winner, another one on the card.
So come out, have a meal. You get a great chance to be so close to the action. As I said before, the sounds and the visual of the best track in the world. Right here, get to hear. You're calling, aren't you, Freddie?
Yes.
Yep. So you get to hear
Back
the
for the
dulcet
carnival,
tones of the great man here, like playing the soundtrack for you. So it'll be
Go for the mute button, they will.
absolute great night. If you can't be here, well, Sky Racing's your ticket, and you'll be able to see it all. You won't miss a thing there. Plenty of racing, and and have your fantasy harness racing app open at the same time and see how your scores are ticking over. And if you don't have a team, make sure you get one registered by 1 o'clock today, so that you can get in and
tuning into the Junee meeting as well, because double meeting. So
exactly
2 points.
So get a bit of
The
RSI in your thumb with the remote control.
And that's exciting too. We had Sarah before say that there are going to be some Sydney horses representing down there, it would appear. So that's pretty exciting.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Jess, hit us with your Black Booker, because you are the doyen when it comes to this.
I've gone one that comes around in the free-for-all this Saturday night. He caught my eye at the trials last Wednesday here. It's Wolf Stride. He's back from his Inter-Dominion campaign. I thought he was really strong to the line. He was hard held behind Bondi Lockdown, beaten 3.7 metres. And we heard Jack Trainer in those interview that you spoke about earlier on. He said that he has his goals. Whether or not he's up to that, we'll soon see. But Wolf Stride, I think, off that trial.
Okay.
I've gone Mahomes on the back of its trial. You just mentioned last start Group 1 winner, draws barrier 1, and as I said earlier, my other Black Book is also in that Wolf Stride race as well, with all those other good horses. But for this week, it's Mahomes.
Yeah. Anything that you're driving, Hannah?
I've gone Smooth Bart on Saturday night. He's dropping back to the up to 95 race. I thought with he obviously beat Pete Sedso at Bathurst on Shirley Turnbull Memorial Night, so I thought that was good form for him.
Absolutely. That's a good scalp to take down, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the way Pete
Good form
Sedso's
line.
going. Yeah. Well, I hope people can jag 3 winners out of those, because you're not happy with how you went last week, are you?
Not happy at all, but that's racing.
But
We bounced back.
Gracie tipped us Surface as her horse to follow, and it won the big one. So
yeah, she really went out.
We've at least had a winner in the first
track
week.
record.
Yeah.
New track.
Yeah.
Came out and won. You can't do any more than that. Even if you did break the track record in the heats and then you tip it up, you can't
It
do
was
it.
still
At
a
least
good
it won.
try.
Paid-
I think it was about the 360
It
mark.
wasn't
Okay.
overly short. It was a
Yeah.
pretty...
All right.
fair.
Well
Pretty
done.
fair odds, yeah.
So well done,
Gracie.
Grace.
Well done. Well done. Hannah, great to have you with us. I hope Smooth Bark goes well for the whole family, because it's a horse that means a lot to the family.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, busy show, busy week ahead. Probably the busiest one we've had in a long time. The race week ahead.
Yeah.
Looking at the race program, there is plenty on. So you're going to be busy here at Menangle. Freddie, you're going to be needing some lozenges.
I'll pop up tomorrow at Penrith, and then again on Saturday night here.
All right, we'll get you a lozenges sponsorship or something like that.
Just any sponsorship would be nice.
And Hannah, you've got drives today. You've got Penrith tomorrow night. As I said, don't think it's Thursday. Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You just go on places. Love what you're doing. It's really cool to see your star continue to rise. And now you're just destined to do great things because you've been on the show. That seems to be the way.
Winners will
it works, isn't it?
keep
The die
flowing.
is cast. You're ready to drive a swagger winners.
All right, if you tuned into the show, we really do appreciate your company. We don't take it for granted, and we hope you've had a little bit of entertainment in your day. And if wherever you're listening, in retrospect, in your car or out on property or whatever you're doing on your daily commute, we really do thank you for your time. And let's hope you get the chance to tell someone else about the Sprint Lane and the wonderful things that are happening in harness racing here in New South Wales. Give us a share, follow, like. review, whatever it is, we would take it. We would really appreciate it. So, guys, thanks for coming in again, giving up your Tuesday morning.
Do it all
Thanks,
again next
Paul.
week.
Yeah,
All right.
looking forward to
Hannah,
next
go
week.
well this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right. Well, to all our audience out there, thanks for listening. We'll catch you again next week on the Sprint Lane. Bye-bye.